Type 1 in Midlife. This is the podcast. And our Type 1 in Midlife community is sistering with the Honey Health Diabetes app. So this is a chance for you to come in and download a free app. And this kind of puts this podcast and our topics and our guests and all those things, or whatever's on your mind with your day-to-day with diabetes, into an interactive space. It's a safe space you're invited to. Welcome to the Type 1 in Midlife podcast. My name is Melissa Slemp, a certified nutritional health coach and the founder and CEO of Abundant Health with Melissa, where I help women with type 1 diabetes to feel more empowered and live their best life despite their diagnosis. Each week, I will bring conversations and strategies from guest experts and my experience living with type 1 for over 40 years now. So if you're a woman ready to redefine how diabetes can look and feel for you, then the Type 1 in Midlife podcast is the show for you. Just a reminder that nothing you hear on this Type 1 in Midlife podcast should be a substitute for professional medical advice. Please always consult your medical professional before changing your diet, insulin dosages, or healthcare plan. Well, hello and welcome. I am so excited to be here, and I am wishing you a Merry Christmas if you are listening to us live on Christmas Day. And I hope you are celebrating the day with family and celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ and our eternal salvation, and how important that is, and how important it is to me specifically. I know I am a believer, and I believe that He is here for each and every one of us. And without Him, I know personally, I would not be able to do what I do every day and to have light in my life living with type 1 diabetes. And that is the hope of this show, is to spread joy and light and hope. I heard an interesting acronym the other day, somebody talking about the word hope, and they spelled it out as helping other people every day. I really love that. That's such a great message. Obviously, we all need that. And it's something that we can obviously give and receive when we need to. So that is really the goal of the show. And today, this is just going to be a short episode. I just wanted to pop in here, say hello, celebrate this year that we have had. We first launched this podcast, Type 1 in Midlife, in May of this year, so May of 2023. And I'm excited about what's coming up in the next year. And I'm going to give you a sneak peek of some of the guests and topics we're going to be covering in 2024. But first, I wanted to share something that is new, and it's a new community that is tied to this podcast as well. The name of it is Type 1 in Midlife, just like the name of this podcast. Isn't that great? And it is located on the Honey Health app. And this is a diabetes app specifically for those living with diabetes. So they have brought me on as a contributor, and I'm able to take the same topics and mission that I do right here on the show and what I do with my clients that I coach. I work as a health coach, work one-on-one, and I also have a membership that brings people in. Generally speaking, after they are done working with me, they need to stick around. They want that ongoing support and accountability, and that's what this membership allows them and provides for them. And it's just a good way to stay connected as well. So if you are overwhelmed with all the information and noise out there, that I think is the number one conversation I tend to have with women, whether or not they live with diabetes or not, is just that there's so much noise out there online, what we're maybe reading or looking up just to try to kind of figure out what it is we're feeling, how we're feeling, and what direction to turn with our health. And it can really be overwhelming. And it's, we tend to compare, we tend to be asking friends, which I think is a good idea to kind of just to kind of learn and to get some idea of what's worked for them. And that's really what my goal here is as well, because I've learned a lot over the years, my 41 years now living with diabetes. And my goal is to be able to share what I've learned, share my mistakes, share the victories, because that sure helps too. We definitely talk about the good news. It's not the bad news. So it's definitely celebrating what we're doing, how we learn, and how we can move forward, knowing what we know now. So that is my goal. So, like I was saying, if you are feeling overwhelmed and maybe you're not sure what to ask your doctor, as we're aging with diabetes, hormones are dropping, ladies, and that means our insulin resistance is rising. So, and this is a very common occurrence, and this is what happens. It's a natural thing. It's not fun. It's not something that that we can easily accept. It's hard enough getting up, counting carbs, worrying about all the things that we have to count and keep an eye on every day. But then when you toss in menopause and all of the symptoms that come with that, and on top of that, we're still trying to manage a chronic disease, it is very, very overwhelming. And without a space, which is really what this podcast is, and this show and my programs and this community app that I'm sharing with you, and it's really about coming together and to simplify our steps and to get some concrete, sound advice to take to take those next steps, to move forward and to start feeling better. And that is what we have done this year on this show. And that is what I plan to continue doing with your help and all these amazing guests that we've had this year. We have talked all about different things this year. So excited for that opportunity. And the women and even some men that have guested on here, they've been powerful and so inspiring to help, again, calm down the noise and just try to give us some clear and concise information so that we can make some really good choices with our health. And, one of the things that I have mentioned before, and I've written many articles about this, and I really, really bring it into my coaching when I'm working one-on-one with women, is the ABCs. And that is strictly, or specifically, I should say, it's really about that relationship that we have with diabetes. And this can happen at any stage. I am meeting women that are diagnosed later in life, newly diagnosed. And then you take somebody like myself, who's more of a warrior, that's been doing this for decades. But this mindset can shift. It can, other obstacles come in to kind of interfere with really our thinking about our disease and how we're doing and feeling every day. I totally get that because I've been through it myself too. So like I was saying, the ABCs is when we can accept the diagnosis and stop fighting it. And knowing that it's here, this is what we have, this is what we will deal with until there's a cure. We continue to hope and pray that there will be a cure that we can all turn to one day, or accept, or make that choice about, to be continued on that. And the next step is to believe that you have all that it takes, and that you possess not only the will and the confidence, the tools, and the support to make things happen for yourself, and to feel good as we age with diabetes. And then finally, it's that step of committing. We have to stay consistent. That's another C word I love. Consistency wins the game. It really, really does. I know that's been my biggest takeaway over the years, or just a real key piece of my success, is just being consistent with as many of these healthy habits that we know support our diabetes and our hormones and all of that, and do the best we can every day. That 80-20 rule will apply. It always applies, and it will continue to apply. And, it really is about our mindset and how we walk away at the end of the day, how we put our head down on the pillow at night and say, I did enough. I was able to use the tools and the time and the resources I had today to take care of myself. And if I miss that in any way, and I stumbled, we make wrong choices. We don't dose enough, or we dose too much, or, we let outside stress affect our blood sugar. All of these things, life definitely can interrupt how this disease treats us and how we treat this disease. So just real important to be mindful of this, and just so important to celebrate what you're doing well and to compound on those steps that you are doing well. So that is my hope for you in this day of celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ on Merry Christmas, and that, we can step away from the grind of the carb counting and the time and range and fearing the doctor's visit when we have to get that A1C test, that average coming at us. And, because it's like being in school, you're always getting graded, and we almost feel like we're being judged by these markers, these health markers. But just know that you're doing enough, and know that when we hit 40 and above, sometimes it's even earlier for some women. Sometimes it's a little later. It's different for all of us, just like everything with health. The steps we take and the choices that we make to reach our best self is so individual. But not to forget that hormone changes will at some point impact your ability to control blood sugar and to balance it. And that's okay. So just realizing that and knowing that there are some good resources and tools and functional habits that we can do to help this natural stage of life. So women, we're here for you. I'm here for you. And I'm just so excited. And before we go today, I wanted to give you a little sneak peek of some episodes that are coming up in 2024. And, we are going to start next week, which is January 1st, the first day of the year. I'm going to have Stormy Baxter in here. She is a insulin pump therapy, and she is also a certified diabetes care and education specialist. And she also lives with type 1. And she's just going to come in and just give us some of the latest technologies in pump therapy, and just going to be talking all about that. She's going to be trying to convince me, as she continues to do, to get on a pump, because I continue to be MDI, multiple daily injections. But again, more to come on that. So 2024 might be a changed year for many of us for different reasons. So stay tuned. And also, Erica Forsyth will be here. She's a therapist that works with families and children, and she herself lives with diabetes now for over 30 years. And just a wonderful conversation I had with Erica. Again, more hope, more direction, and more support for anyone living with diabetes. And we really, really dive into the day-to-day struggles and how we can overcome them, and how important community is. So, so important. And we're going to have a young lady, Hannah, in, and she had a beta cell transplant done this past year. And I'm not going to give away too much. You'll have to stay tuned to hear the whole story. But that was inspiring, not only to hear her story and the process of what she went through and continues to go through with this transplant, and just some more insight on what's to come and some options that hopefully you and I can both consider one day. We're going to be talking about health advocacy. I'm a big believer in that. Fighting for your rights and being heard by the doctors, very, very important. And we're going to have Medtronic Diabetes here. One of their representatives also lives with type 1, and she's going to be in here talking about MDI therapy. And we both use the Smart Insulin Pen, the N pen, as it is called. I love it. She loves it. So if you're interested in learning more about this alternative treatment, insulin treatment, tune in. That's going to be a fun and really, really good, informative conversation with Madison. And we're also going to be talking with a representative from Diabetes Sister. So this is an amazing community. throughout the country, and they are doing some shifts with their organization structure. And I will be talking with Alejandra, and she also lives with type 1, and just a really good conversation. Again, we support community and women coming together. And this is a really good insight on what this organization is doing. Again, it is a online and in-person support. And yeah, lots of good stuff coming up in the new year. And just to kind of close out, Dr. Jen Simmons, she will be here in just a couple episodes out. She's amazing. She is expert in breast health, has her own podcast called Keeping Abreast. And we're going to be talking about metabolic health, hormones, and hormone replacement therapy, and how all this relates back to insulin and insulin therapy and blood sugar control and monitoring, and how we just kind of transition into midlife with all these variables. And so in order to stay in the know with all of this, I encourage you to download this podcast and subscribe to the show. That way you get weekly notifications so you don't miss a beat. You stay on track. You get to listen in to all these episodes. And these are just some of them. We've got many more to come. 2024 is going to be packed with great information and support from many, many women that also live with type 1 like you and I do. So I really appreciate you being here. This has been just a amazing 2023. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to come in here and to share what I know and to share guests with you this past year and what's to come in 2024. So real excited, and I hope you are too. And be sure to share this show too. We want to reach more women. We want to be able to get in front of more women and to know that you're not alone, that we are sisters in this disease, and it's real important that we come together. And just to recap too, so diabetes, obviously type 1 in midlife. This is the podcast, and our type 1 in midlife community is sistering with the Honey Health Diabetes app. So this is a chance for you to come in and download a free app. And this kind of puts this podcast and our topics and our guests and all those things, or whatever's on your mind with your day-to-day with diabetes, into an interactive space. It's a safe space you're invited to. And it also has a glucose, it's a monitoring system, not a system, but a tracking system that you can actually load up. And it's part of your app. It's part of the app once you download the app. So it'll be part of your profile. And that is super, super fun. And they give you reports with feedback. Again, it's another tool to use to help stay in range and to monitor what you're doing and what your goals are set on. So be sure to download this free app. The link is right here in the show notes. Again, it's the Honey Health Diabetes app, and our group is Type 1 in Midlife. So join us. We're having a lot of fun in there. It's a new space, and I am, as this episode is recording, I am in the middle of sharing a hormone health series. It's a 9-part series that talks about all the different hormones that interact with insulin and how it impacts blood sugar and how blood sugar impacts the hormones. It's quite a cycle, isn't it? It's definitely an ongoing cycle, and the way it all affects one another. And, information is just so important to not only to understand our body, but how to best respond to what we are seeing, and, how our body, that information that we're getting on our CGMs and our pump reports and all of that. Information is great. It's great to come in on a podcast and to hear and to listen. But to put it into action, that's really where the steps happen. That's really where the change happens, right? Because if we keep doing what we're doing, we're going to keep getting the same results. So just taking those small steps, shifting here, adjusting this, opening our hearts and our minds to other other ways to not only live and to think about who you are as a woman and your purpose here, but this life that we have living with diabetes. So again, be sure to click the link in the show notes to download that app and join us in the community. We look forward to 2024 and some more programs that I'm going to be featuring in there, some free opportunities, again, to get more valuable information, to be able to set actionable steps around that information, not just information, but to set actionable steps that you can do it, and you get to do it with support of me and other women. So awesome. Looking forward to 2024. I'm hoping you are too. So, and again, drop over to iTunes and be sure to rate and review the show. Please give me any feedback. You can head over to my website, abundanthealthwithmelissa.com. Reach out if you got any questions, if there's any topics that you would love us to feature here in the new year, please let me know. Or if you would like to be a guest, we'd love to have you on here, bringing real life and real women in front of other women to share our journey and what's working and what maybe is not working. Information is so helpful, and just to feel the love of the community. I've really enjoyed being here and be able to serve you and to keep doing this. So very much appreciated. As always, keep thriving, and I hope you have a hope-filled Christmas day and the year 2024. And we will catch you here next week in the next episode. Thank you for listening to the Type 1 and Midlife podcast. Head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It's very much appreciated. Thank you. And be sure to check us out at abundanthealthwithmelissa.com for our free resources. See you next week.